Hello, welcome to John and James Live. My name is John Hastings. I'm with my co-host, Mr. James CeeLo. How are you today, James?
Amazing. Absolutely astonishingly good. And how are you?
Amazing. Somebody said we're too old for this
Who?
game. We're past it.
Who said that?
I don't know. I've just made it up because that's what our theme is of today. Is it, are you too old, James? Are you too old to reinvent yourself? Like we're going to have to over and over again in this technological age. So we're going to go through it from a few different angles, aren't we, on this one to figure it out, see what's going on, see how culture's changed over time, because things have shifted quite a bit, haven't they, James, since probably your grandparents, my grandparents' day. What do you think?
No, I agree. And it's how quickly you can adapt, how much fear there is, which can paralyze you.
Yeah, it can, can't it? Yeah.
I'm like the male equivalent of Madonna. I think I just continuously reinvent myself.
Yeah, I think I am, but I'm like the
You'd like to think you
who
are.
just reinvents the same thing. The same problem just keeps following me.
Well, this is it. Are we actually reinventing ourselves, or is it just a variation of a theme?
Yeah, it's
Discuss.
like the same pattern happening over and over again. But
Yeah.
going back to sort of grandparents, I would say what's the biggest change I thought about my grandparents? They got married at 19, had like a 60-year marriage, and he did a few different jobs, but each job lasted probably at least 15 to 20 years. I think. I don't know about the early days, but today seems a bit different. Even jobs maybe that you qualified at a university to do, let's say you did marketing at university, you come out and social media pops up, and that wasn't in the curriculum. It's more of a, that's happening across the board, isn't it? You're going to have to be an agile little ferret. I was going to say, is that an expression?
Well, it is now. If it wasn't, it certainly is now.
What about your grandparents, James? How do you feel it
Very
fits
similar.
in with
Very
their...
similar. I mean, it was that thing, wasn't it? That I think we went through this sort of transitional period with CVs. That if your CV didn't read like I've been in this job for 10 years or that job for 5 years, that was an issue that was going to go against you. And all of a sudden, it flipped.
Yeah.
And if you've been in a job for a year or 2 years maximum, you could then say, well, I'm showing diversity and, variety and skills. I'm there as long as you don't get fired or there's no kind of issue. You're saying, well, actually, being in one job for a long period of time doesn't actually go against you, whereas that was frowned upon.
It was, yeah.
My grandparents, I mean, my granddad worked in the railways. He was in the army for a bit, worked on the railways. He was a coach finisher. So he was like I guess you'd call him a chippy, kind of would work with his hands, woodwork. And yeah, did sort of odd jobs even when he retired. So
I love those solid jobs. When anybody says to me they're working like with their hands, and I know guys that are like chippies, plumbers, builders, I always have a deep admiration for it, to be honest. Probably because it reflects what I can't do or never been taught to do.
yeah.
And there's something, I don't know, there's something powerful about a guy who can build, get
It's
things done.
self-reliance. I think there's a level of that. It's like if you're out in the wild, you could build something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, James. You feel exposed as a man. But I suppose the new tools are the tools of the internet, aren't they? The different types of tools. You're not using your hands as much. You sort of, I would say, using your brain. You're utilizing your brain in a different way, aren't you? Trying to figure out this online game and how to automate things. But it just changes the game completely, because people say, right, you need to get a job. You can't get this job. You haven't got enough experience. And then we're seeing people in their 40s, 50s, maybe becoming redundant. I was speaking to a client yesterday, and he's setting up maybe a recruitment it's a recruitment type of app to do with people who are struggling in their 50s, have been made redundant. They still got mortgages, they still got, you know, families,
I
kids
think
to,
it's
or maybe
inspired.
they're struggling to get back into the workforce for the wages that potentially they was accustomed to. And James, I guess we're going to see more of this. What do you think? Is this going to be the future problem?
Well, I think there's an absolute need. You know, I think that unfortunately, the downside of technology as it stands is that, you know, companies will become more streamlined.
Yeah.
And roles will become obsolete. So you're going to get people out in the workforce, you know, of a particular age. And I think to have a, you know, a resource for people in that sort of bracket is a brilliant idea. You know, I can see that being really popular, but having something else bolted onto that in respect of mental health.
That's it. He's got that. Yeah, that's exactly what's built into the app. It looks very, very cool.
You know, there's one element, obviously, it's sort of the resources that you need to get back into work or to find work, but also the capacity, the mental capacity to be able to handle it. Because if you've done the same job for the last 30, 40 years, and then you're facing a job market that looks very, very different, you've got to upskill, haven't you?
That mental side of change, it's not, I can imagine if you've worked in a job. I've never had a job, but I might have to get. No, I've never had a job, but I might have to get a job in the future, which will be an interesting dilemma potentially, because I can imagine it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to, you know, you feel sort of out of touch. There's a lot of fear attached, a lot of shame. You know, you're expected to pick up speed. You don't want to let people down. It sort of attacks your identity, doesn't it? But what do you think?
Of time as well is a big thing. I think you're just suddenly aware that, like, well, how many more years of working life have I got? Is it sort of 10 years? Is it 20 years?
Yeah.
When at 53, I'm thinking, well, I mean, I don't envisage myself ever retiring. And that's not, and I don't think about that in respect of it being impressed upon me or that I have to. I just would like to and be involved in something. Yeah. You know, I can't imagine ever being in a situation where I'm doing nothing.
I'm exactly the same. I look to people like David Attenborough, and I think, man, this guy's still going. He's like 90 or something.
Has he not turned 100?
I don't know. Is he?
Was that something in the media that I saw that he's just turned 100?
I don't know if he's in his 90s or something, but this guy is still. How good is that? That feeling of, you know, I was fortunate enough. I would say fortunate to automate. I had a business in my 30s, automated it to the point I didn't have to go into work, and I was getting paid every month, which was just ridiculous. And it felt like maybe what it feels like to be retired. And it's probably not as good as you think it's going to be.
Did you get some brain atrophy?
Yeah. I spent most of the time thinking, what am I going to do next, or what should I do next? So it probably wasn't quite the same as being retired. If you've done your work, you're chilled, you're enjoying life, you've got grandchildren, experiences and stuff like that. So I do see some people that are in retirement and they're on a cruise. Again,
it depends, mate, on the nature of the job as well, doesn't it? It's like, you know, if you're a retired teacher, it might be a little bit different to you if retired from IT, for example.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It depends on the context of what kind of job. If you was doing a job because you had to make money and you sort of slugging it and you just can't be bothered to do it anymore, it's very different from sort of maybe it's like entrepreneurs. It's very rare that you see entrepreneurs retire, do you?
No.
It's like as soon as they switch off, they're like mentally dead.
Well, I think there's that thing in the brain, isn't it, that you're constantly coming up with ideas and thinking how to improve, and it's really difficult to switch off.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know that retirement exists for those sort of individuals, that they're constantly thinking. What they possibly will do is take more of a back seat and less of the day-to-day responsibilities. I think they have a tendency to outsource that, but I don't know that the brain ever stops working in that
Yeah, I'm
respect.
with you. So James, if we was gonna, you're in charge of a company, you're gonna hire me. I'm John. I'm 65. What's the downside of hiring me? Why? What instead of why are people who maybe I've got a lot of experience, but maybe there's a guy who's 45
Yeah. Well,
in the
it's
mix.
got to be.
What's the ageism thing? What's going on? Because we're not really familiar. We'd have to ask people out there too much with the whole workforce corporate thing around ageism. But from a sort of business owner view, what's the downs? What would you see the downsides are?
Well, even in response
Money.
to that, I would do it on a case by case basis. It would be on the individual. So you get a 65-year-old with vast amounts of experience. They're still, young in their head, still feel, that they are relevant and able to contribute, and have got a personality type that would, make them huge value. I don't see any downside with that. And like I said, in terms of retirement, he could have a good 20 odd years still back in there.
This is Nick Heap. He says, no, I'm with you on that one, James, to be honest. Nick says, here's a model that can help you think about what you want to do at any age. So Nick's got a link there. Thanks for that, Nick. So yeah, from a work point of view, there are people out there. There's people that have told me that, they've been made redundant, maybe in their 50s. They're struggling to get back in the workforce. People are employing younger people. Is it because younger people may be cheaper and more adaptable? Is it an adaptability thing? Is it because they're not maybe set in their ways, they're easier to mold? Even if you do train them up, I'm thinking sort of capitalist head, then let's say you train them up and you train them up for 3 to 5 years to be working for you. Yeah. Why would you train somebody up in their late 50s, 60s for 5 years if you're thinking, man, by the time I train them up, they're going to retire, rather than get somebody in early, train them up, you could get another 15 years out of them potentially. Yeah. Is that the mindset? Is it just a logical mindset of survival?
It depends. So it depends on the employer, and it depends on the person that sat in front in the interview.
Yeah.
I mean, you could on the other side of the spectrum say that, kids get a bad rap in terms of their work ethic.
Yeah.
And somebody who's 65, if you look at the stereotypes, you would argue that, they'd have a better work ethic. It doesn't necessarily ring true, because again, it comes down to the individual. You could argue that somebody in their late 60s would potentially have health issues, which could be a problem. A younger person wouldn't necessarily. But again, it doesn't always work out that way.
100%.
Mental health and physical health on both sides of the spectrum. So, you have to really qualify it and say it's massively down to the individual, that you've got, kids coming through that are on the pulse of new technology. You could argue it's part of their DNA. Some of them it is, some of them it isn't. And again, you'd have to figure out, which ones are relevant for that. But, you could sort of say that they are tapped into a particular stream of consciousness around new technology. But, there's always room for experience over that. So utopia is you have both. I mean, why do you have to have one or the other? I mean, if you've got one spot to fill, then it's a little bit different. But, again, you've got to be specific to that role. And so what is that role? Is the role now calling for somebody with that level of experience? Is it customer facing? Is it somebody that needs those soft skills that would have been developed over time, whatever? But it absolutely has to come down. I don't know that age should be a factor. And I can understand why, that is behind a wall of anonymity, because, we'll immediately conceive or have some preconceived ideas as to that individual and what they're capable of without actually having given them a chance and seen what they're capable of.
Yeah, you're right, James. It needs context, doesn't it? Because in some cases it plays into your hands with age. Sometimes the young people, this is a generalization, but they might say, look, this generation haven't got any social skills. They can't communicate with each other. They're great at tech, but they can't even say hello or look you in the eye, which is an issue. You've got the wisdom of the older people. Maybe their kids are growing up. They haven't got that responsibility anymore, so they've got more sort of head space, I would say. I did used to have a client who worked in media, TV presenter, and she said there was a major difference between older women and older men. Older men was seen to be okay for them to have a bit more longevity on the TV, whereas as soon as you was a certain age as a woman presenter, she felt that you was being pushed to the side. And we probably see that with attractive weather ladies, people presenting on the TV. You don't really see massively older women present in the news or anything, or do you? I don't watch the news that much, but you would see older gentlemen, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're sort of generalizing, and when I was kind of consuming the news, again, like you, I haven't been lately, but it seemed that sort of during the 80s, 90s, that the presenters, certainly the male presenters, potentially were older. They were seen as voices of authority, etc. And that, the misogyny of that age.
Who would you have in there? Bruce Forsyth, Parkinson,
Wogan, those kind of chat show hosts.
Noel Edmonds. He wasn't that old, but you sort of
unfortunately women were seen as something pleasant to watch.
Yeah,
if they could speak, then that was great.
Can you think of older women on the TV? All that's coming to me is Mary Berry at the moment is the oldest one I can think of. I'm trying to think of
Angela Rippon was one. There was
she hasn't been on the TV for a while though, is she?
No, Gloria Honeyford was
this
another.
Loose Women crowd. I don't know how old they are. I can't remember if there's any older women on there. I'm talking 60, 70 plus. Do you think?
Yeah.
If we can't think of, there might be somebody that's blatantly obvious. I just can't think of.
There were
a few guys.
A few female, and again the names. They should I should know them, but there were a few female news readers. But yeah, it's
is that just part of the game though with aging, James? It's different. Aging affects men and women differently. So for a woman, there might be age concerns around women having babies or children or families later on in life. That just becomes a bit more normalized. And women maybe are seen more as there's a beauty aspect to women. We know the beauty industry is huge. And for men, being or trying to be handsome maybe is a thing. But for men, the pressure is more on being viable in terms of your capitalist ability, your ability to make money. So when women then start hitting their middle-aged, and we could say beauty in a sense of youthfulness starts to wane, you can see where potentially this is going to affect women more than men. What do you think, James?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Nick says
we need a
we'll read out Nick's and we go back to that one, James. I need your answer on that one. Nick says, I'm 82, still working as a coach and consultant. I have never been asked how old I am, nor has it been an issue. I would never get a job.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to your point,
so men and women, James, there's a big difference for aging between men and women. Probably this conversation came up because you sent me something about jellyfish anti-aging thing, but this anti-aging in general is a billion-dollar industry and is geared towards women, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's the guilt and shame around it as well. It's like we can't age, that we can't be seen to be aging, and that's something shameful.
For women or for men?
For most, I would say now both to an extent, but historically women.
Yeah.
And
I don't see it with men as much, James. I can't see. I think there maybe is, but it's not as obvious. I don't hear many guys
it's not
thinking,
as obvious.
"Oh,
It's
you're
not as
looking
obvious, but
old." You don't see
definitely,
people down at the pub saying, "Oh, talking about their age or anything," do
yeah.
you?
And like, we all age, and I'm fascinated by the longevity space and how there's leaps and bounds now that in the next few years, 2 years, let alone 5 years, what the advances are going to be in terms of slowing down the aging process, if not reversing the aging process, and on a cellular level. And up till now, it's been a cosmetic, but now we're going internal.
Yeah.
So, the surface collagen of the skin, etc., trying to plump that up, or, with Botox, that's developing. But, seeing now on my feed suddenly popping up these incredible facelifts that are transforming women sort of in their 50s, 60s to looking like they're in their 20s again. So the body is of a 60-year-old, and they got a face of a 20-year-old.
You see this on the celebrities. I always talk about Kardashians, but the mum, Jesus, she looks good, doesn't she?
It's
Whoever that surgeon is because sometimes the surgery looks terrible, doesn't it? You look like a bloated fish. You look sort of maybe Simon Cowlish. Looks like it hasn't gone too well.
Yeah, they've refined it.
Some people, they get it, and they get all of these, like you said, stem cell injections and plumpers and all of this stuff. I don't know what they're doing, but it can look phenomenal, can't it, James? To be honest, looks great.
It's incredible. And you think, well, if you had that at your disposal, if you had that resource there, you can understand, and you've got the money to pay for it. You can understand why, because it's the elixir of youth, isn't it? And it's been around since time immemorial that, we want to look younger for longer, but it's what that is driven by. And, we're never going to eradicate the stigma, unfortunately, but really it comes down to the individual. It's like, are you happy in your own skin? Are you happy to look the age that you are? And, what lengths are you going to go to achieve immortality?
And what does that mean for your psychology as well, James? It's not just your physical appearance, it's your actual...
Well, fundamentally, it's a losing battle, isn't it? Because
it's your mind, isn't it?
You can't stop it. Not at the moment, anyway. It's not to say in years to come that it may be that we're in a situation that we're sort of living for 200 years as species, where you've got replacement organs and things that can be bolted on. But it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And that mentality of age, James, that we was alluding to there is huge, because you see people in their 50s and they act like they're 100, and then you speak to people in their 80s and they feel like they're still in their 40s. It's happening with my accountant. Shout out to Helen. She started doing Ironman in her early 60s. This woman's now doing this for Great Britain. She's 72 or something like that. It takes her 17 hours to complete this thing. I couldn't even do it. 72-year-old woman who just started doing Ironman at that thing. She's swimming in the cold lakes traveling abroad. It's like, wow, that's a mindset, isn't it?
That
And then
is a
you see
mindset.
other people at the same age and you think, man, you can't even walk up the stairs. Like you've thought in your head you've been old for ages, and you've just let your habits decay into this old mentality, where somebody else has thought,
decline.
someone else has thought, no, I can do an Ironman. Like most people in their 20s can't do it. Just most people, full stop, can't do it. Let alone starting it in your 60s and doing it in your 70s.
So do you know the story behind it? Do you know how she got into it and how that came about? Or do you know that she's just doing it now? She's gotten into it.
Yeah, it was after sort of somebody died close to her. And I think that gave her a different sense of life.
There you go.
And then she threw herself into something else. But she's a successful businesswoman anyway.
Built up to it and decided that she could do it. It's these little incremental things that reinforce the ability to be able to do it. She wouldn't have just gone and done a full triathlon. It would have been maybe it did a run first, or maybe it was a cycle ride, or
this was a whole build up. I don't know what the build up was, but then again, James, we can say for any extreme, I would say for some individuals, not all, but you end up thinking, are these people running away from something? No,
something.
Yeah, is it running towards or running away? It's a very nuanced subject, but just to say,
it's a physical activity and a physical outlet, as opposed to internalizing it.
But the mindset of it is amazing, to think that you can go and do it or reinvent yourself. Because James, we're going to have to reinvent ourselves, aren't we? Quite a few times in the coming years. Maybe technology is going to change, industries are going to change. You may be going to be made redundant. You're going to have to upskill, and it's going to be a constant upskilling. And it's just you somehow got to cultivate that resilient mindset to sort of stay in the game, haven't you?
Yeah.
Nick again on this one. There are many older female actors such as Helen Mirren and Celia Emery, among others. You need to look beyond the surface to see the beauty of a lived life. The beauty industry is built on making women and men feel inadequate, so they have to buy things to make them adequate. Follow the money. Nick, it's definitely a capitalist game, isn't it? They've tied on to the biggest fear of aging. And I guess from biological sense, an aging woman means that, or an unattractive woman means that she's less likely to find a mate, reproduce, be loved. So there's probably that innate feeling of holding on to youth. As soon as you get past 40, a lot of people didn't live that long, did they, James? So they didn't really get a chance to get old. They would have died maybe from something else. So this is a time where more people have the opportunity to feel age, but it's a different dynamic, isn't it, James? You've got women going through menopause, which is quite a big thing. A lot of different things happen with the female body.
Yeah, it's a huge
thing. It's a little thing, James. Let's not big this up for the women. That little menopause thing.
And the whole childbirth.
Yeah, thing. Easy.
Minor detail.
But Nick's right. There is the monetary side from playing on it. There are some actresses out there doing well, but are they, are they the majority, or are they in the minority? There is that the ones that we can just
minority, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can probably see a lot more older gentlemen doing okay, and you see a lot of older gentlemen as well, especially if you've done well financially, that you're attracting a very young woman, don't you? You see it all the time in Hollywood. You see it in celebrity world, that the marriage ends and then all of a sudden they're with a woman that's 20-30 years younger. You do see it the odd occasion with the woman, but just it's not as common, is it, James?
It's not as common, or it's not as well reported, and you're getting guys that, certainly in the media,
Yeah.
But interestingly, when you look at Macron, and that's
Macron's a weird one, isn't it?
flip to that, but that's an outlier.
It's an outlier.
It's an outlier.
Yeah, and I would be a little bit careful with that one because there are rumors that I'm just saying this is rumors that that's a man. She is a man, apparently. And it's not his wife. And there's like a whole lawsuit going on around it. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's to do with her being I don't know if you watch Candice Owens, but there's this whole thing about becoming Macron and things like that, about her actually being born a man, and that's the whole thing around it. Which, if it's true, would be an absolute revelation, wouldn't it?
But still, the age gap, interestingly.
Age gap's huge.
Yeah.
Age gap's huge. So when is too old, James? Let's talk about let's lighten it up to go with the old fashioned. Sometimes you do see guys.
Are you trying too hard?
In their 40s, and you've seen, I've even judged it, and I'm thinking, oh man, dress your age.
Right, skinny jeans.
Oh no, not skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans. I mean, I've got skinny jeans, dude.
I used to wear them. I'm afraid to say it is embarrassing looking back. But do you think there is embarrassing?
But why are you embarrassed? Because you enjoyed wearing those skinny jeans, I bet.
Jesus,
I bet you rocked those skinny jeans, mate. Were they faded?
I've got skinny legs. Skinny legs and a skinny jean is kind of a weird combo.
You're the sort of the London
rock star.
Look. I can imagine you in sort of skinny jeans and like your pointed shoes,
pointy shoes,
Chelsea boots.
That was the one. But is there age appropriate clothes, James?
Why is there? There definitely is. But I think so. Again, very much like Nick, I've got a client of mine who's 82.
Yeah.
And he doesn't dress age appropriately.
What does he wear?
He wears, Loro Piana, or Piana, I should say, Loro Piana kind of clothes. So some really nice kind of jeans, like a kind of a nice casual sort of jacket, but class, and not like he's trying too hard. I mean, it's not outrageous out there, but he dresses cool. It's a cool style.
What's he gone for? Old money?
New money-ish.
New money? I don't even know what new money is. There's certain styles that just old money seems to be the classic timeless. Then you've got trends, haven't you? Skinny jeans was a trend.
He's self-made.
Trainers and jeans. Interesting what New Balance did with dad trainers. They really brought that back. Now you've got 16-year-old girls wearing dad trainers.
Well, kind of Adidas did that as well, didn't they? There was the retro look.
Yeah.
Converse have been doing it for years and years and years. So, and then have
you evolved your style, James? Tell me if over the years, each decade, what have you?
Oh, mate, I went through.
You had long hair, didn't you? Tie-dyed, long hair. I
had a ponytail. I went through a bit of I don't know if you remember, you probably wouldn't, but there was a sort of a Sloan kind of phase. Sloan. But it was a sort of trench coat and corduroys and brogues kind of phase.
I still hit the corduroy. I love a corduroy and a brogue.
I'd potentially go back to that.
Yeah, that's classic, James.
That was classic. So yeah, nice pair of cords, brogues, brown brogues.
Yeah.
Trench coat.
Love a trench coat. My granddad just wore nothing but suits. Even, do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter what day it is, Sunday, Saturday, casual, whatever. He's got a suit.
Yeah.
He just wore suits all the time.
I'm
This was
trying
his
very hard not to be, the groups of guys that go into a pub in their sort of 50s, 60s and stand at the bar. And again, this is, a gross generalization on my part, but it's like the guys that stand there and they're checking out the younger girls and they're in their sort of jeans and their loafers.
Yeah.
I try very hard not to replicate that look.
Sure.
I'm not entirely sure what my style is. It's kind of relaxed athletic.
Yeah, I've definitely, as I've aged, I've gone for comfort over style. That's the direction.
You have your own style, mate. I have to say, you have your own style.
Yeah, I've definitely gone in the direction of comfortable, I would say. So I don't know if that's an age thing. Probably with women as well. It hasn't gone that comfortable yet, but it's going in that direction, I would say. But people used to wear flares, I guess, in the day. Then they went out of fashion, didn't they? And people looked really good. What I've noticed, James, just in modern age, is how bad style is these days. If you walk around London and you watch what people are wearing, it's awful. Disheveled. There's people going out here in shops wearing their slippers with a dressing gown.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I looked at pictures of like Lewisham and that in areas in London back in the day. Everyone looked like they was going to a wedding, and it gives off a vibe, doesn't it? It gives off a very.
So maybe the people that do. And you see them in London. You see people that do dress well and they do stand out as a result. Yeah. And it's nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
When I see it, I do appreciate it. And I appreciate somebody that's smart. But then you go to a foreign city, like Paris or Milan, and it seems to be more prevalent. That's just maybe a perception thing.
Dress well.
People seem to dress well, especially in Italian cities.
There's something about this whole fashion. I know the age fashion thing, but there's something in it that changes the atmosphere. If you go into a nice establishment and people are wearing trainers and shorts, and you've gone there, well dressed, it devalues the experience, doesn't it? Or if you're walking on the streets wherever you live, and people look disheveled, I think it completely changes the experience of your life in that area. I don't know if that's an age thing.
It's an interesting perception, I think, when you go into the psychology of it and how it makes you feel. But it's like, is it a respect thing that you dress accordingly if you went to someone's house for dinner? Is it a show of respect and appreciation to that person to dress well?
Yeah.
Or could it be perceived that you're trying to project or be something that you're not? If you don't have money, but you're wearing nice clothes, or you do have money and you're wearing nice clothes and, flaunting the fact that you've got money, rubbing it in people's faces, going over the top. So it's highly nuanced, but it comes down to the individual. I mean, I like I said, I enjoy seeing both men and women in their 50s, 60s that dress quirky, funky.
I'm with you.
With style, that just are comfortable in their own skin. And it's a projection of their personality. And they're, like a guy that's got like a scarf or a, neckerchief or something like that going on, and a nice
there's some effort there. There's some
bag, and a lady there that's got a sort of hair, maybe asymmetric cut. And there's just, there's
James, I'm with you. I love it. There's something to it, because if I see the conventional somebody wearing a suit, let's say, I don't know what it is. Sorry, estate agents, but when I see estate agents wearing suits, 9 times out of 10, it looks awful. I don't know if they need a tailor Maybe that's a business
Collar's
idea.
not done up and the tie's kind of hanging down.
You need tailors specifically for estate agents, because 9 out of 10 times you look at it and you think your suit is all off. You know, the blazer's too short, the arms are too long, it's too tight, the shirt's coming out, the top button, everything looks off, and then all it does is just wreak distrust. So if you're a tailor out there, just do something with it. Or if I had an estate agency, I would say, like you said, dress down. And a dress down estate agency, I think, would, you know, brown Chesterfield sofas inside, chino, brogues, even like a nice Vivo trainer with a trouser. Man, this would be big.
This could be a new. And
it would be big. Let's see what Nick thinks. What about young, manipulative women entrapping old, rich geezers and hoping to enjoy and then inherit their money? A few years of tedium in exchange for a few billion is a good exchange, maybe. Oh, Nick. Has Nick been burnt by a young lady?
You've thrown the cat amongst the pigeons there, Nick.
Nick's happily married. He has been burnt. So what do we think about this, James? Is this a survival mechanism? Is it, you know, I look at these women and I think, man, if you're sleeping with that old man, maybe you deserve the money, because that looks,
it's an immediate,
that doesn't look fun to me.
Gut reaction, isn't it? It's exactly that. It's like, well, you're just in it for the money.
Yeah. Or you could say the older gentleman, if he's done well in his life, not always, because you could be a manipulative business capitalist who's done extremely well, but you could say this guy is the ultimate wisdom, he's the ultimate life lived. Why wouldn't a young woman want to be around those type of guys? And I think in general, Nick, I would say that there are a lot of women out there now that are navigating towards the older man just because of probably financial stability and maturity, whereas younger men these days are becoming maybe, you know, over feminine and maybe don't have the financial viability of an older guy. So I think that would work pretty well. But what do you think, James? What do you think? Older, if your daughter said, right, meet, you know, Cedric, my new boyfriend, he's
where did you get that name from, man? Where the hell?
Cedric, that sounds like an old person's. I like it. Cedric. Let's say Cedric is your age, James. How are you going to feel about that?
Harry Potter film, mate.
Yeah, your daughter's in her 20s. She brings back Cedric. He's your age. You went to school together. What's your vibe on that?
Yeah, it's really bloody interesting, isn't it?
Give me visceral thoughts first, and then logic.
Yeah.
I can tell you're not happy already, James. I'm Cedric. How are you? What's going on?
I'd have to have a conversation. I'd have to have the conversation to figure that shit out.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
It's actually...
Does it matter how much money Cedric's got? If all of a sudden Cedric's inviting you onto his yacht,
does that
feel better?
It's interesting. You know, if Cedric was a kind of dope smoking guy who lived in a caravan, and that would be a very different scenario.
James, you're sitting right on that. You're getting splinters here, James. No. You are right on the fence.
I need you to. Thing. It comes down to
how much money Cedric's got. That's
the individual.
Basically what you're saying.
Whether my daughter's, I just want her to be happy. But I think, I would certainly, if it was somebody my age, I'd be scrutinizing it a lot more. I'd be asking a lot more questions than if it was somebody in their sort of 30s.
Okay. Would you do the reverse? Let's say you're say 75, your daughter's 50, she meets Cedric, he's French, and he's 30.
So say that again. My daughter's
You're now
50.
75. Your
I'm
daughter's
75.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now she's met Cedric, the French Romeo,
I
who's
would be
30.
having the same conversation.
How do you feel though?
Yeah, I would be having that same conversation with
Better
this
or
guy.
worse?
So if he was financially stable and 30,
Cedric's, he's an
is he?
artist. He's French. He's living his life. Your daughter said it's shown her love that she's never known before. He writes
I
her
think
poems,
I'm warming
James.
to it, mate. I'm warming to Cedric.
Yeah?
French Cedric.
Yeah.
Cedric. I'm warming to that.
So maybe you would prefer Cedric than the older Cedric. Nick, we celebrated our 59th wedding anniversary last week. Oh wow, Nick! Congratulations. You'd get less for murder, wouldn't you, James? 59 years.
That's such a throwaway, stereotypical comment from you, Hastings. What I've come to expect.
Well done, Nick. Well done. You survived.
Bloody hell, Nick.
That is incredible. This is a rarity from Nick, though. You're probably not going to see this as much, are you? You're going to see people not getting married. There's probably more options out there if things are not going well. You jump on the apps. I don't know. It's just a different world, isn't it?
It'd be fascinating to look at the statistics in sort of 10, 15, 20 years' time to see what actually is the case. Because people were staying in marriages that, they didn't have any option back then.
Yeah.
So, the longevity of marriages, you're seeing more people having their 50th wedding anniversary. My grandparents had 50th golden wedding anniversaries.
Yeah, mine did as well. It was amazing.
So, yeah.
It was incredible. So what else have we got on age, James? Let's figure out what do people think about James's answers today. Let's have a look. Oh, did you hear that, James?
That was a thumbs down, wasn't it?
Oh, but and John's? What people think about it? Well, I think that says it all, James.
I think that is just that illustrates the point beautifully, doesn't it?
So what else have we got on age, James? What are we going to do about it? So we've got these age dynamics. What do we need to do? Do we need, if you're a little bit older, do you need to just screw your head on and start thinking, right, I need to be adaptable, like Darwinism? Have we just got to do Darwinism, survival of the most adaptive, and just suck it up, face the fear, and evolve? Is that the answer, James?
Most simplistic terms.
With love.
Yes. So it comes down to desire, doesn't it? What the desire is for change, whether you believe you are capable of change, or you think your time is run.
Yep. Or go to your mindset, like you said, about the curiosity side, James. You've got to have that.
Yeah. Are you excited?
We've got to cultivate a bit of excitement. Think of work, maybe. I know it's a necessity a lot of the time. Sometimes you've got to do things that you don't want to do for money, and then you just can't wait to stop. But I see people that, you ask them, have you got any hobbies, you got any interests, and they just haven't really. And I feel, and then their whole life has been tied up in this job, and you ask them about the job, and it's, it doesn't even matter if that job doesn't exist. You got to be a little bit more well-rounded, haven't you, James? Hold a little bit of curiosity into.
Yeah. What's interesting?
What else are you going to do?
We've had these conversations, mate, haven't we? It's like my historical default is to spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
To go after lots of different kind of projects, but now I'm just focusing on the one.
Yeah.
And so even at my age, still learning and still understanding yourself. And it doesn't matter how many times people say, look, just choose one thing and go with it. doesn't matter how many times you're told that, until you figure that out for yourself, you know, it doesn't necessarily become apparent. But it's trying something that you haven't tried before and seeing where that takes
I think
you.
that's a great point about age in terms of what we would consider your personality type, because it
Yeah,
just depends, isn't it? Some people are like yourself, trying a million different things, can't settle on one thing. Some people are so set in their ways and they stick to one thing and it works. But I think there's just different, what we call zeitgeists, or different times where one thing may work better than the other. So if you're living in the age of a job for 40 years, to have that mentality where you just show up and do the same thing every day, probably great.
yeah,
But if you're living in a new technological age, it might be just more beneficial to have more adaptability in your personality. Could just be one of those things, James, where it could be a fish climbing a tree or a fish swimming in water, but definitely depends on your personality, doesn't it, on that one?
yeah.
But to finish
Yeah.
off, how do you feel about getting old, James, in general?
Well,
What's your general feel?
interesting. So I've started back at the gym sort of fairly recently,
Yeah.
and I'm lifting heavier weights than I've ever lifted before, even in my heyday in sort of my 20s, 30s. And I'm starting to lift now consciously and in a nurturing way as opposed to a punishing way, and feels so much better because I'm going like 4 or 5 times a week now, whereas I would go for maybe 2 or 3 times and then fall out of love with it, not go for a couple of weeks. So the inconsistency. And I'm resting in between sets more than I ever used to. So I'll do a heavy set, do lower reps, and then rest. And I won't be on my phone like everybody else is in the gym, but I'll just sit there and then I'll do another set when I'm ready. And it feels so much better, but like it's right for me at the age that I am. And, you know, everything that you read, everything that you feel, you want to be able to feel like you can still do stuff. Like help my father-in-law plant a tree over the weekend and trying to get it out of this pot that it had grown in. And I've got this tree in my hand, this serious sized pot. I mean, the pot probably weighed about 30, 40 kgs. And I'm literally bouncing this thing up and down. And I'm able to do it. You know, and
so health has come to the forefront for you, would you say, in age?
The ability to still be able to do stuff. It doesn't really matter what it is, but to feel like if I'm opening a door that's heavy or a gate or anything, that I've got the power to be able to do it still. You don't start to go, oh, that didn't feel, or noticing muscle deterioration and wastage. So
in general, how do you feel about the age thing? So the health is one thing. How do you feel sort of emotionally about age? Do you think about dying? Do you think about
a lot? Well, periodically it'll sort of
think
pop into
about
my
a
head.
sadness of times gone by, of
sudden
living a life?
realization. Yeah.
Is there that?
Yeah. There's so with death, it kind of hits me all of a sudden. It's like,
because there's a midlife crisis thing, isn't there, James? That people have.
Yeah, but it's easy to kind of categorize it like that. I think it's an awareness. It's making sure that, I think it's sort of focusing on maybe relationships, that you're making the most and being in the moment, being in the time we're in now. But waking up in the morning like, well, that's another day that's gone. That's another day that's gone. And trying to be effective in the things that you're doing and mindful in the things that you're doing, and just the relationships, as I said, of making the most of those.
So you're definitely conscious about
there's definitely a conscious, where there wasn't before, there is now.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't I'm 41, so I don't feel that sort of impending sort of age thing
Yeah.
at the moment. I feel more about I feel like I've lived a long life already, and I feel a bit fatigued. And I'm thinking, Jesus, there's going to be another 50 years of this, which sounds sort of ungrateful in a weird way. But I don't know if it's just a period of a transition of time when you're transitioning into maybe a different person,
Yeah.
or there's a lot of uncertainty. But yeah, I at this present moment, I could say I don't really have a fear of death, which sounds a bit weird. And then I think to myself, actually, it would be it sounds easier.
Yeah, I'd like
Not in a
to.
way that I want to die or anything, but in a
Yeah,
way that it's like
I
life can be
console.
challenging.
I console myself. I think, in as much as that, when the time comes, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
I'll be ready to kind of let go, and it will be the right time. That's kind of utopia. But with Ness as a nurse and sees death on a regular basis,
Mm.
and she said some people have a good death, and other people have a not so good death.
Yeah.
But the overriding sense is that there's a calmness that sort of pervades through the entire process, that you can see in the face, this sort of release, and that gives her comfort, and in turn gives me comfort as well, that actually the passing is a peaceful.
So you've got like an impending fear potentially of it
It's not
not
a.
being
It's not
peaceful.
a. No, I don't. It's a weird. I wouldn't call it a fear. It's just sort of a. Sometimes it's jarring, a real jarring realization that actually these things are our lives are finite. That there will come a time that I cease to exist. And then there's other moments when I just sort of go into that sense of the calm and the peace, and being ready to go when the time is right.
Yeah, I feel in that. My grandparents both had as good as death could be, brilliant. One died in their sleep and the other one was ill for like 2 days and died. It was just, it couldn't have been any smoother. But I've seen other people, like you said, have drawn out illnesses, not the best. But I guess it comes as well to start thinking of age. Like I said, I'm 41, you're 52. I cannot emphasize how quickly it goes, James. Like time seems to be evaporating it to a scary. I don't know if it's just me, but the months are just flying by. I just can't believe it's like September already.
Yeah. And again, take into situation is if there's no structure to your day.
Yeah.
And you're going from here, flitting sort of here, there, and everywhere, then time sometimes I think can maybe speed up, which sounds counterintuitive. Whereas if you have a structure to the day, that 10 o'clock you're doing this, 11 o'clock that, 12 o'clock, whatever, the time doesn't seem to sort of pass quite as quickly. And it's all, perception thing. We've all got exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I think, you can lose time subconsciously if the structure isn't necessarily there. And you talk to anybody over the age of 45, 50, and again, whether it's because that's conversations they've had with people of that age, that they'll say that time is passing, or seems to be passing quicker, and accelerates as you get older.
Yeah. No, I definitely notice it. But there we go, James. That was age. I think it's going to be a hot conversation as time goes on with the whole automation thing, job displacement, longevity protocols as well. That's gonna, if you can live to 120, then all of a sudden the whole game changes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be a completely different mindset shift.
And the desire to do so, if the desire is sufficient for you to do the protocols required. I mean, some people just naturally, have the makeup to live longer.
Yeah.
You think of sort of centenarians. When you listen to their life stories, they won't always have been the most healthy, but I think the majority of them have had good relationships and have had happiness.
Yeah, laughter, lightness,
Yeah,
stress.
connection.
Yeah, a lot
Seems
of
to be the common
connection.
denominator.
I think it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's huge. And if you've got family around, it's it's brilliant. But again, we're becoming more disconnected now with the family unit. So there's so many things that are going to come and play into this, whether AI is going to be our new friend, that's going to help with aging. People might say it's sad, but what's the alternative? But we'll leave it there, James. If people have got questions, they can fire them across.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Congratulations on your anniversary.
Yeah. Wow.
And hopefully many more to come.
Bless.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Everybody.
And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.